Hey everyone, I'm Tom, and welcome to the Orange Chronicles, where I chronicle what I have been up to over the past week or so. And it has been 2 weeks since the last time we did a little check in here. And that is because I've been very busy at work. I have mentioned it here and there, but I am in the middle of a major migration at work, moving some applications to a new software, a new version of a software. And that has really eaten into not only my reading time, but just time in general. So I have missed out on a few gym sessions, definitely have been missing out on reading. And the reason I skipped last week's weekly update is because I legitimately just didn't have enough to feel like I needed to do an update. I really didn't read too much or anything. In the past 2 weeks or so, I have read probably less than I normally read in 1 week, just to give you an idea of how disrupted I have been. But hopefully that is coming to a close here pretty soon. I will not have to work at night as much anymore, and I can get back into a more normal pace of reading and doing some other things. So with that being said, what have I been reading over the past 2 weeks or so? And first up, we have got to talk about The Lonesome Crown by Brian Lee Durfee. This is book 3 of the Five Warrior Angels trilogy, and I am sitting at about the 18-ish% way through this book, and that might not sound like I'm super far in, but this is a massive book. This is like a thousand something plus page book. I think the audiobook is 43 hours or so. So to be, almost at the 20% way of that massive book, it is a decent amount of reading, and I am very much enjoying this book. So far, this book is absolutely cementing this series' spot in probably my top 10 series of all time. I don't think that's too high of praise. Obviously, still a lot of book left, so a lot could happen, but we are kind of putting the chess pieces where they need to be for the rest of this book to happen. I think the story is really about to kick into another gear here. There is some coming together of some characters who I've been waiting for this to happen for a long time. So I'm very much looking forward to see, what happens here. I feel like we're maybe going to get another big battle, maybe not. I feel like it could go so many different ways. I feel like there's so many threads that still need to come together and be tied off and get this as a completed story. So I don't even really know what to think. There's still so much mystery this late into the book or into the series. We're in the last book that I really would like some answers, and I feel like they're about to start happening. Like the things that I want to know I feel are really about to be delivered to me, and so I'm really really looking forward to that. And then the other thing that I have been reading, and this is not been read as much, but that is Discovery by J.A.J. Minton, also known as Talking Story here on BookTube. This book comes out on May 15th, and my goal is to finish it before that and probably have a review come out or some kind of video probably for it the week it comes out, but a couple days beforehand. So that is kind of my goal there. I'm only about 5% of the way into it, but I will say the early hooks to this book are really great. I'm invested, and I'm looking forward to hopefully reading a lot of that. Well, I am going to be reading a lot of that here to come. Obviously, both of these are probably going to bleed over into May and beyond the May TBR, which is absolutely okay with me because so far I've been enjoying both of them. Obviously, The Lonesome Crown finishing off a massive trilogy for me is nice. Anytime you can get one of those series marked off is always nice. And there's been a lot of hype around Discovery, and even with just a little bit I have read, it seems like a story I'm going to be interested in. Anytime a story has a little bit of mystery in it, I always really enjoy it. So very much looking forward to continuing with both of those. Now, as I mentioned, I have been very busy with work, so I have not read any manga whatsoever, which is kind of sad. I'm definitely behind on some things that I would like to be caught up with now. That includes Boruto and a couple other things. And it's just, one of the things that have fallen to the wayside. But the one thing that I have done more than I normally would over these past 2 weeks is watch TV. Part of that has to do with the NFL draft, which I'll talk about after everything else. But let's go ahead and start with what a whirlwind the Wheel of Time TV show has been. I have been pretty vocal on how I really didn't like season one. I thought it was pretty bad. And I know there's all kinds of things that happened during filming. Obviously, that it happened in 2020, an actor leaving, and probably a lot of things that were really, really hard to recover from as a production. And then season two, I think, was a big step up, but still not amazing. I thought it was fine. I thought it was a decent season of a TV show, but I really wasn't the biggest fan of the ending. I feel like the ending of season two just fell a little flat compared to what I wanted it to be, and maybe that's an expectations versus reality kind of thing. I'm not saying that it was bad by any means. Like I said, I think season two was maybe a 6 out of 10, a generous 6 out of 10, and season one was a 3.5 out of 10. But season two was a 6-ish out of 10. But season three was so much better than anything that I could have hoped for based off the two previous seasons. And now I really, really do hope we get more seasons. My girlfriend is invested in it now. She wants to know what happens. And just in general, it's really easy to cross your arms and say you don't want to watch it because they've changed so much from the TV show. uh, and that's fair. Like, I'm not saying you have to slog through 16 episodes to get to something good, but if you watched the first two seasons and you were like, okay, I'm done with this because of whatever, you should give season three a try because it has actually been super super good. And like, the worst thing about season three is that it ended and I wanted more episodes like that. You can say that about a TV show. I just, I think that's good signs. I think there are some like big epic things that happen. Are there things that I didn't like and I probably wouldn't have done if like I were a show like decider? Yeah, absolutely. But I feel like it is more in the realm of acceptable changes for an adaptation to a different medium than it has been at any other point in the show's run so far. So yeah, season three absolutely uh, was a shock in the most positive way, which was really really nice. Now talking about another show that I wasn't sure what they were going to do with this season. I'm talking about The Last of Us season two. So obviously I knew what was going to happen. I've seen the game. I'm not going to spoil it here, but obviously a big thing happens in episode two. I will say I think I like the way the games did it better, which is fine. I think the adaptation that they're doing, it's leaning into some different elements that I think they needed to. I do just have there are some problems with some certain characters that I think are going to be difficult for some people. I know, for example, my girlfriend is not attached to any other characters except for one, and that's a problem if you know why. If you know, you know why. And so I do think though, like there's like a key moment that they just kind of skipped over or missed or didn't do on purpose, which I don't know. I think it's just it was an interesting choice, to say the least. But I think we're going to keep watching it. I'm going to keep watching it at least. I don't know if she is because she about rage quit the show when the end of that episode happened. So if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. And if not, you should watch The Last of Us. It's pretty good, especially for a video game adaptation. Those things go wrong all the time, it seems. And fortunately, that has not been the case. I'm also still watching Band of Brothers. It has been good. I'm a little curious on why people talk about it the way they do. Like, I think it is good, but a top 10 show of all time, I don't know about that for me. I do think it shows what's going on very well, but maybe I'm just not really attached to any of the characters. Is maybe a little bit of a problem, or I don't know. Like, it is very good. It is maybe a part of it is also it's a little jarring to see how many actors in it who have become like big. And I don't know if they were A-list at the time that they were in this, but like you just randomly had like Jimmy Fallon showing up driving a Jeep, and it's like, I don't know, maybe that's part of what takes me so out of it that I just can't be like in it. It's still like good, don't get me wrong, but that, maybe that's part of it. And then the last thing that I watched, and this is one of those things where I have spent way too much time looking at the NFL draft. I'm a massive Pittsburgh Steelers fan, so obviously there was a lot of buzz around us taking somebody like a Shador Sanders, who, spoiler, dropped all the way to the fifth round and was the second quarterback taken by the Browns. Which, what are the? I'm very curious on what the Browns' plans are. I mean, I guess the fifth round pick, like whatever, you can take anybody in the fifth round. It's a fifth round. They probably aren't going to work out anyway. But you took Dylan Gabriel in, what was it, the fourth or something, and then you come back later and pick up another quarterback. And now you have five quarterbacks on your roster. Granted, Watson won't be there in the long run, but I'm just curious on what the plan is over there. I mean, they have Super Bowl winning quarterback drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers, Kenny Pickett. So, I mean, that can't go wrong. But overall, I'm happy with the Steelers draft. I think they got positions where we needed some help, specifically on the defensive line. We have a great defense, but it got gashed the last 8 weeks or so up the middle. I mean, we gave up so much on the ground. We needed more depth there. Cam Hayward, I don't think needs to be a 1,000 snap player every season anymore. If he can play half that, he's still like an all-pro level player. But I don't think he can, do that over a full course of snaps anymore. And so, it's not a flashy draft, but I think it's just kind of one of those building the base back up. And just this draft in general was just a wild one because the depth between like pick 10 and pick 50, like I feel like the gap wasn't that big between a lot of the players. Obviously, you have some more well, I really don't think there were that many blue chip players in this draft at all, maybe like four. And even that maybe it's like Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, Aston Genty are like the three that everyone kind of is like, yeah, those are like the real guys. And then I don't know, offensive line, I don't know. That's a hard one to grade and like really pay attention to at that high of a level. But yeah, in general, I was very annoyed with the ESPN coverage of it though, because man, they just could not leave the Shadur Sanders thing alone. I thought what's his name was gonna his head was going to explode because he was just so upset the teams were passing on Shadur Sanders. I do think he fell further than I thought he would. When I watched him play, I thought like, okay, this is a draftable guy. He's going to be somebody who is a borderline starter. Like to me, like his upside was like Andy Dalton. Like he could have the career of Andy Dalton, which like is a fine career, but it's not somebody you go and take in the first round. Uh, Andy Dalton in the fifth round though is like a steal. So I don't know. It's a weird thing, but that has definitely been the headline. But I did spend way too much time paying attention to the draft when the Steelers only had, well, we ended up with 7 picks because we traded back and got an extra seventh. Yeah, extra seventh, I think. So yeah, overall it was a pretty good time. But that has been my past really 2 weeks. Not as much reading as I normally would do. Like I said, work just, when work works, it makes you work. But please let me know how you have been over the past little while, what you've been reading, what you plan on reading, anything you've been watching, any of that fun stuff down below in the comments or on the Discord. You can come check me, and well, there's like 7 other guys in there as well. So you can definitely come over and hang out. We have a good time in the Book Street Boys as well. But that's all for me. And remember, read what you want when you want.